Hey guys, welcome to the Afterwatch Party with
Stephanie and
Ryan, where you watch it and we review it.
you better get inside the Afterwatch Party.
So much happened on American Horror Story Chapter 5. It was insane. I mean, as we had expected a lot to occur, there was just so much more than I thought would actually happen. So
They still have so much, I feel like, to wrap up, but this is like the end of the first chunk of the show.
I know, it's
So many
like
cliffhangers.
I'm ready to see what's next, but I'm also I'm happy with how they wrapped up the first story. For the most part. I'm just like really excited to see what's coming up next.
I'm like 75% satisfied.
Fair enough.
Great episode. Like, overall, the episode gets like a 90%, but
Just gonna ask
for
like
closure,
what
yeah.
you might rate it.
Yeah.
I would give it like for me I would give it like a solid A, like a big red A, and I'm happy with that. So
I give it an E for Evan Peters.
Oh, yes. Okay.
If only that were good.
So chapter 5 starts out with a historian. Her name is Doris Kearns Goodwin. Now, I looked her up, and she's an actual historian.
Oh, real life here. So the Roanoke people were real life.
Yeah,
She's real life.
Right. So we have an actual historian telling us the background of the colony and the house.
Did she play herself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I looked up like her name based on what they had on the lower third in the show, and that's her actual name. And she's written several books, but nothing about the subject. So
okay, I was gonna say, if there is a book about the subject, I will be purchasing it.
Right. Unfortunately, well, I'm sure there is, but like she hasn't written one herself. She's written more about like JFK and a lot of like political figures. But I figured I would just look her up anyway to see if she was real, and she is. That's her real name, Doris Kearns Goodwin. So
awesome.
Next, we find out Evan Peters is in this episode playing a member of the Mott family, which I love this role for him. It might be my favorite role for him so far out of all 6 seasons. I thought it was just the best thing. I don't know why, but I just really love him playing Edward Philippe Mott.
I feel like it was way past due for him to play a gay man too. Like, let me just say that.
Like fans have wanted it from season 1.
Yes, because I feel like he did that so well. Just so well.
Yeah, like I didn't see it coming, but I was so happy when it happened. I was like, oh, this is
I wasn't
the thing.
expecting it because I was like,
this is the thing right now.
He's just gonna play, not that he's never played like the exact same type of character, but I was like,
no,
it's probably gonna be something like similar, like along with like some like totally screwed up guy, and it's totally like, he was a screwed up guy, don't get me wrong, but like I was not expecting him to be gay, and I just like
me either.
Fangirled when it happened.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, yeah. Trust me, so did I. Like that scene was kind of hot.
It was
in the bathtub.
Oh, it started out just like that.
So he's definitely not Pigman, as we have come to find out.
I was so happy about that.
So was I. But
so excited.
But why was he credited in every episode so far? I still don't understand that at all.
I don't get it either. I don't.
Like, he's in the end credits. I don't know why. So
maybe he was doing some ghostly things that we didn't realize were him.
Who actually knows?
Yeah, maybe we'll find out later, because I feel like I did not get enough Evan Peters for the season. Like,
listen, those are not the only episodes that he's going to be in. Trust me.
I really hope not.
I don't have, like, that much info. Obviously, like, I just know what everybody else knows, except for Ryan Murphy, because, he knows everything.
He knows all.
So we learned that Edward Philippe Mott came to North Carolina from Philadelphia, and he left his wife, and I think they said possible kids there as well. I forget if he even had kids, but
I don't remember.
I know that he left his wife there. So he traded in his wife for his gay servant named Guinness. So that's a thing, which was super interesting.
Him as another, like...
Yeah, I mean, I was all about it. I was... Hey, why not?
Yes. Absolutely.
So...
Bathtub scene.
So, when Edward first builds the house, he's trying to sleep, and then he hears these weird noises, per usual, when you're in that house.
Like, totally typical of what we've seen in the season.
Yeah, so, like, that's when it starts with, you know, people who live in the house. So... It was Kathy Bates, and I couldn't see who else was, like, destroying his art. But there was Kathy Bates and someone else there. One of his servants said that it was a woman and a little boy. But I don't know, like, what little boy there was. I just don't know who else was there.
We'll see more as it goes on, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, we could still find out.
He was pretty upset about his art being destroyed, though.
What's that?
He was pretty upset about his art being destroyed, though.
Yes, yeah. So that leads into this next scene where he makes the servants go down into the root cellar until they confess their crime, and none of them did it. He just,
like, comes out, like, screaming at them.
It's
an intense scene.
He slapped someone because she quote lied to him about who did it, even though she told the truth. So he locked them all except for his lover in the root cellar.
But then he made sure to remind his lover that he was not unlike everybody else as well.
Right. Just because they are lovers doesn't mean he's still not a servant.
And then he's like, wait, come back.
I mean,
Evan.
You need what you need, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
got needs. I mean, he left his wife behind, so...
Right, so there's no one else there, like, to really help him out with that, I suppose, because he locked everyone else downstairs. So, and then we see the ghost trying to kill him in his bed, and he climbs out of the mattress. Does that remind you of anything?
Oh,
from Hotel.
Definitely.
Hotel connection, right?
And I didn't realize that the first time I watched it.
Me either.
But
no, I watched it twice.
Yeah, well, I remember in Hotel when that happened, I was so freaked out. Like, terrified.
Likewise. And which just means that they, like, did their job of freaking us out. So
they definitely freaked me out multiple times this episode, so...
For sure.
They definitely satisfied that.
So Guinness was blamed for Edward's murder, and then it was said that Guinness killed Edward and hid his body, which we know is not what actually happened, but I guess because he couldn't really explain what did happen, that's what was rumored, you know, around whatever area he fled off to on horse. So, and he didn't even tell anyone about the servants being locked in the root cellar, so they all died. So, none of them got out.
And that makes the root cellar, like, that much more...
horrifying.
Really
yeah.
Yes.
So...
Because there were a lot of people. I mean, a lot.
Like,
it wasn't like a handful of people.
I would say at least 20 people, right?
Oh, at least, yeah.
At least that much. So, the last Mott family... So, this is another thing that the historian said that I had written down. The last Mott family member lived until 1952, where they died in South Florida, which could be a freak show connection because that took place in Jupiter, Florida. So I'm like, okay, there's lots of connections going on right now. And then after she says that, we hear Cheyenne's voice asking her another question. So I mean, like, we already know that it's Cheyenne, but, like, we hear him, like, for maybe the second or only third time. But we know that it's him for sure because of the preview for the next episode.
I was going to say, and we know that we're going to see even more of him.
Yeah. So
next episode.
Yeah, so we'll definitely get to that toward So there's lots of layers going on here. Lots of layers going on. Okay.
Yeah, because we haven't even scratched the surface of what has happened in this episode.
No,
I mean,
like
Evan Peters thing
I'm
happened.
I'm scrolling down my list right now.
2 minutes into it, yeah.
So this part really freaked me out when the Taiwanese ghost took Flora from Shelby. Like, she just popped in out of nowhere and grabbed Flora. Mm-hmm. And what I wrote down was tears in my eyes, not what I expected so far. I got a vibe about the Taiwanese ghost, like, that was similar to The Ring. How they kind of made, like, her character look that way. Because she was all kinds of freaky.
So freaky, like, upside down head, like, weird, like, okay. Walking like a... I don't even know what you would compare that to, like a
she's
broken
just a creature.
Dog. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just a full-on creature right now. So,
like, think of something that crawled out of the pits of hell to run after you, and like
absolutely, absolutely.
Gross.
So this is when Shelby, Matt, and Flora are trying to escape the house again with no success because the Taiwanese ghost tries to take Flora, and then the colony lights their cars on fire so that they can't go anywhere. So they all like run downstairs. And then this is when Ambrose acts the front door, then shoves his face in to see, like, what's happening. And then I was like, oh, that could be a reference to The Shining with Jack Nicholson. Because that's what he did.
So many horror film references this season.
That's what Ryan Murphy does best. And I was like, this has to be a Shining reference. Like,
I just want to know, like, he just so effortlessly combines all of these things. And they make such wonderful sense.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not like, that's kind of out of place. It's like,
I love it.
Oh my god. Like, how did he do that?
They're all great references. So then... Oh, okay. So then the trio, Matt, Shelby, and Flora, run down to the basement after being scared of Ambrose trying to get into the front door. And then this is when they encounter... Edward Fleet Mott, their first encounter with him. So then he takes him through these the underground tunnels that they built when building the house. And then there was like 2 different times there was this super cool what I have written down as cool ass ghost face effects, like
the effect.
Yes,
like every time he turned his head and his eyes got like black, and I was like, oh, wait, did that just happen? And then he'd move again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the editing on this is like so key.
They've never done that to make them actually look like ghosts. Like,
no,
I
and
love
I feel
that
like
so much.
They need to start doing that because that was phenomenal. Like, it took it from like you knew he was a ghost, but it just took it like that much further, and like it made it that much more creepy.
Yeah, see, I would agree that they could do it like a little more, but not too much, because then it might
not for
get
like every
overbearing.
single ghost. I feel like there should be like some kind of level with like how apparent the ghosts are to you, because they go from like you don't see them at all you see is like knives in the walls or like
but that is their option
rolling.
That's like their option, whether you want to like reveal yourself
and
to
I
them
feel like that's
to help
probably
or hurt
why
them.
they had his character be the one that they did that effect on, because he like loved his solitude, and like they made sure that he said multiple things about that, so I feel like that's probably why they made him so that you could see him, but you could still like he was like very apparitionist.
And I love that so much. And then when that happened, like Shelby is like, "Oh, you're not alive?" Like she's kind of like all nonchalant, but I guess
like,
that's
how
okay.
Could you
like
not tell
based on what's happening. I guess that's alright that she's like not all nonchalant, just because like there's so much happening that they don't understand.
I guess that's true.
And she's like, I have a lot of questions, but now's not the time for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
for once,
yeah, that's
gets
true.
It right.
Like she knows what she's talking about for once. So once the trio, as I keep calling them, that's Matt, Shelby, and Flora. So once they get into the middle of the woods again with Edward, he leaves them there, and then he just goes and wanders off somewhere else. So now they're in the middle of the woods, and then this is where they find the house that Shelby, Matt, and Lee went to before when they found the little boys who were with that mama pig, like suckling mama pig's teeth,
screaming.
And I was like, oh, this is the same house. Something gross is gonna happen. So obviously something gross does happen.
I'll never get the image of those boys and that pig out of my mind.
Me either. Me either.
I can still vividly see it.
It's gonna haunt me forever.
It is.
So Chaz Bono was in this episode. He plays Lot Polk, which apparently he's been in episodes 1 and 3 as well, and I had no idea until now that he's been in this show. So the first episodes that he was in, they must have been really quick scenes with him because I did not realize it at all. So his character is Lot Polk. So he's in the hut with Shelby, Matt, Flora, and they come upon Elias, who is there with missing limbs because Mama, played by the one and only Frances Conroy, who is back. Yeah, Frances Conroy. I love Frances Conroy so much. I'm so happy she's back.
Yeah, she played the character really well.
Mama.
But before we even see her, you have Elias laying on the table, with his limbs cut off, and he's like, Mama took my legs! Oh.
Yeah, and he's just he tells Matt to kill him because I would not want to suffer through that either. But how is he not dead already? That's my question.
Yeah, he's been laying
He's missing
around.
Several limbs, and he's not dead already.
And there are major arteries in your legs and arms. Yeah.
He would have bled out, right? So
unless
how's he still alive?
The only thing I can think is that they either heated up whatever they sawed his limbs off with, or they cauterized it after.
Oh yeah, that could be.
But that would be a logical explanation, but I feel like those aren't the types of people that would do those things.
No, because they were all holding rifles, and I feel like
they would have just grabbed a saw off the wall and just started going. So I don't see them having the know-how to do either of those things.
No, I'm gonna agree with you there. So Frances Conroy is playing Mama of the cannibals. If we didn't know that already, which I really wasn't sure of, so they're all cannibals.
Yeah, they are. I just like how she walked in, and she just has this plate of jerky, and she's trying to be all jerky. The mama of the house, being super extending all of her hospitality. Yeah. Here, eat this man that's laying in front of you.
Yeah.
Would you like some? And then she gets mad that everybody turns her down, and she eats it, and she throws the entire plate of it, and she's like, it's spoiled or whatever she says. It's not sweet
I think
meat.
she had said that it was rotted or something. Mm-hmm. And so she gets really mad that it was rotted and it just throws the tray down and then it goes everywhere. And then Elias keeps saying things, so Chaz beats him in the face with a hammer, so now he's totally dead.
And that was so gross. I mean, that happened and I was just flinching and flinching and flinching,
I was
and just kind of having my eyes closed a little bit. Do I want to see what they're doing?
They went all out for this episode for sure.
It was intense.
So
they left out no details.
Absolutely. So the purpose of these guys, these cannibals, is they wanted to keep the house open for the butcher. So they don't want anybody living there. They themselves did not actually want to live in the house either. So they are keeping the trio for the butcher. So they're gonna take the trio to the butcher eventually. So we'll get to that part in a few minutes there. And I'm not sure if you caught it or maybe I was just seeing things, but I loved when Frances Conroy looked directly into the camera, breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so maybe that wasn't just me. And I was her whole situation, her makeup, her clothing, what she's saying, how she's looking while she says it is fantastic, and I bought every minute of it. It was amazing.
Yes, and like her looking directly at the camera is like another part that just like sent shivers down my spine.
Yeah, it makes it more eerie.
What is this creepy lady looking at me for? Mama, turn around! Like, no.
It definitely makes it more eerie for sure. Okay, so then fast forwarding. So we randomly come to a talking head from Lee, who we haven't seen yet, and she said that Shelby told the police that she had something to do with Mason's death, that Lee had something to do with Mason's death. So that's why Lee was in jail for all of this time until now. So then she's there sitting with an officer. They're trying to figure out like why she killed her husband and all this good stuff, or bad stuff, I suppose. And she's basically like, I had nothing to do with it. Like, why do you think it was me? So, obvious reasons.
Yeah, she knew everything that was going on because she is an ex-cop. So she, like, knew what to say and knew, like, she just knew everything that was going on.
Yeah, so
it wasn't
she's not dumb.
Her.
Right. So next we see the trio being taken in a truck by the cannibals to the butcher. And then, so Shelby's like, any minute now I can see this gun being shot off. So then Matt takes Lot's gun and like plays around with it.
Can we?
What?
Like rewind to like when they're in the back of the car and Shelby's like, save Flora, and Matt's just like, I'm gonna kiss your forehead, and she just keeps saying, save Flora, and he's just like not responding to her.
He's just not paying attention to what she's saying.
Like, I was like, Matt, you're stupid. Like, answer your damn wife. You's about to die.
I somehow missed that part, too.
Oh, really? It's when they were laying real close and she was just whispering, like, because, you know.
Oh, yes.
Save Flora.
I know what part you're talking about.
Ignoring her.
Yeah.
So annoying.
He's just like,
in typical Matt
let me
fashion,
kiss you first, and then maybe I'll save her.
Like, since these are my last few minutes on Earth, like, I'm just gonna, like, kiss your forehead a bunch. And Flora's probably just, like, sitting, like, near them, like, she's saying to save me, Uncle Matt. Like, respond to the woman.
Yeah, so they're just doing their own thing while Flora is, like, somewhere in the back of the truck. So Matt makes Lot shoot the driver, who is also Mama's son. I didn't get his name, but it's fine. And then Shelby kicks Lot out of the bed of the truck. So then they try to escape again and go to hide in the woods. And they're found by Lot because Lot was like relatively close to where they were hiding, and then Matt's phone vibrates because Lee's trying to call him.
So conveniently in the middle of the woods,
right?
Like around nothing. Like your phone's just gonna start ringing now.
They happen to be like right where Lot was, and then.
And like, are you telling me like when you were at the house, like nobody was calling, texting, you weren't getting any emails, like nothing about the phone, and the phone just randomly like happens to start going off at this point?
Well, that's because really Lee had just come out of the police station, and she saw like all of the text messages. Though?
Like, he does all that work, traveling, this, that, the other thing.
I guess not.
I don't know. It just felt a little fishy to me. Like, it could have been something else other than the cell phone, I feel like. Something else could have happened that drew their attention. Like, maybe Shelby sneezed, or, like something that felt more real. The cell phone was, like, pushing it for me. That's the one thing that was, like...
What if Shelby just farted really loud, and then... And then Lot heard it, and he's like, what the hell is that?
She's like, sorry, I'm stressed out. Like, I'm gonna die.
These are my stress farts, man. Leave me alone. I would have died laughing if that happened.
That would have been so much better than the phone just, like, starting to vibrate, like, out of nowhere.
Oh, my God. I would love that.
Because there's been nothing else about the cell phone at all. So I just felt like, okay, I get it, but I don't at the same time. Because, like, keep it consistent with everything else you've been doing. Yeah.
So then they get caught again, and then Shelby's... So they're basically begging Mama to just let him go, and then Mama's like, I'm going to make sure you guys can't run. So then she breaks one of Shelby's legs, and it looks so painful. I looked away for a second. I was like,
I didn't have a snack with me this episode. Usually I eat popcorn or something when I watch it.
Yeah.
And at that second I was like, I'm so glad that I didn't. Because that grossed me out more than Elias getting his head smashed in.
How?
I don't know.
Because they showed all of his face.
Elias was already like... I feel like it's because I anticipated that happening and he was already like dismembered. But I was like...
Yeah,
okay, he got his head smashed in, and like, okay, that's gross, but he was already gross. I was expecting her to, like, shoot Matt in the leg or something. Like, I was not expecting... I think that's the other thing, too. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, I knew Elias was gonna die, and I knew that Shelby and Matt and them were... Obviously, I don't know... It wasn't obvious that they made it, because of my whole theory before about how they're dead and they're being interviewed as ghosts, but I don't, like, that's not the case anymore, I don't think, but seriously, I wasn't expecting Shelby to be, like, because it was above her ankle, and she smacked it with the back, was it with the back of the gun? That she did the...
I think it was, yeah.
I think it was, so she, like, jammed the bottom, like, right above her ankle, and her leg just snapped.
It was either that or the hammer again. But I think it was the back of the gun.
I can't remember. I think it was the back of the gun because I think she scooped it up off her other son and like, I can still vividly see that too, like just her bone because they showed the entire bone.
Yes, they did. It was super gory.
With lots and lots of blood and her blood curdling Shelby scream. Oh my god.
So gross. So gross.
And just like the
so
whimpering,
good.
and I was like, my ankle just started hurting. Like, that did not just happen. Oh.
Hashtag same. Okay, so once that happened, the cannibals left the trio there for the butcher and company. So next, instead of sacrificing Flora like Kathy Bates was trying to do, Ambrose hit his mother in the head and then dragged her right into the fire with him.
Wait. But that wasn't before the butcher looked at Mama and was like, "You have lost a son tonight." And there was that creepy scene where she was like, as soon as like she like brought them out of the car, and the butcher just looked at Mama and was like, "You have lost a son tonight. It's a great," like, I forget what she said. She went on that little speech, and I feel like that's what made the butcher's son, like, so angry that he was like, "No, I'm not gonna let you do this anymore." And he just grabbed her. Walked into the flames with her. But can they die?
Well, they didn't die. I mean...
What happens to them then?
Wait, who?
The butcher.
So, yeah.
And her son, because they're not totally ghosts at this point, because it's the red moon
he was trying to stop her from putting Flora into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, hold on. Once that happens, like, so Edward again comes to the rescue out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And then he unties Shelby's ropes, and then he's like, "Go ahead, make your grand escape." And she's like, "I can't run. What are you talking about?" So then Lee shows up after a ride from the police officer. The officer leaves, and then Lee drives up to the colony to rescue Trio. Alright, so my problem with this is she has the car from the house, right? But they lit it on fire, so how is it still working?
I don't know. Like, is it the same car from the house?
I was thinking that it must have been, because they had a car and a truck at the house that they showed being lit on fire, and I'm assuming it was because it was like
covered in gasoline or whatever.
Yeah, so it was covered in like dust and everything, so that's why I'm assuming that it's that car. But where else would she get that car from? Because the officer straight up backed up and left as soon as they got there.
Which to me just says, okay, the cops are definitely in on what's going on, since they didn't care before and they were playing everything off like nothing happened.
Maybe
everybody around this town must know that like the butcher is a thing, and that
maybe the film crew is going to like find the police officers to like find out what's going on. But we will get there. Hold on. So,
yes.
All right.
So much stuff.
Okay. So Lee shows up and she hits Pigman with the car because he was about to whack somebody. So Lee hits Piggy with the car, And then the butcher tries to run from the fire to chase after the car. So that's the answer to your question, like, what happens to Kathy Bates. Like, she's just lit up on fire still, chasing after the car. And I was like, oh, that's actually really cool how she's able to just be lit on fire and then chasing them. And then it goes back to the Shelby, Matt, and Lee talking heads to wrap up their story. So that's, well, so there's like one more scene until like their story's over. But that's how they wrap up the part with the colony for the most part. So next is when they all stay in the hotel for the night, which, how far is that hotel? I feel like they could have gone there sooner, instead of waiting so long. So they could have went there when Cricket said to abandon the house. Maybe that was a good time. So,
or how about the good time was when all the knives started slamming themselves in the ceiling.
So many warning signs that they should have gone beforehand. So we see Shelby on crutches and in the cast. How do they get from the hospital to the hotel so quickly? Like, they didn't show anything in between.
And they got a pizza,
which
too.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Which made me hungry as crap. Like, I was like, ooh, I could use some pizza.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm okay with them, like, not showing, like, going to the hospital, but, like, how much time was
it just
in
fast-forwarded
between that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was just like, okay, they're at the house, and the next thing you know, like, all this stuff has happened. It's probably been hours.
Yeah, now they're at some random dingy hotel. And then Shelby, when she was about to go take a shower, she dreamt that the butcher chopped her square in the forehead. I was like, oh, snap. But then she wakes up. And
it's like all is normal.
That's when their story is wrapped. So
yeah, and her talking head says, and I still have that dream to this day.
Yeah, so those are the first 5 episodes of season 6. Crazy. This is my favorite episode so far. I will say that.
Definitely. So much happened.
Like, there was just so many good parts, and I just loved how freaked out I got personally, and like how many times I had to stop and be like, did that really just happen? Like, I
know, I jumped a lot.
I'm internally freaking out. I'm obviously, like, just all about this episode.
Yes.
So, I wrote in my notes, overall I thought that this was the best episode of the season so far. Happy with most of the ending to their story. There's always unanswered questions. So, some of like the questions. The questions that we just came up with, like, those will be, I feel like they can always be forever unanswered. So the preview for the next episode is Cheyenne in front of the camera this time.
Good.
So his exact quote to the camera crew is, "The camera never stops, no matter what. The camera keeps rolling."
Even if I say to stop.
Even if I say to stop rolling. Yeah. So my theory, I mean, not theory, but like possible thing that's going to happen is, so the building that they walk into, it looks like we're led to a production company, where they're filming everything. Something is going to go down with the filmmakers, who knows what, but
I still am sticking with my initial theory,
which is, again, what?
They are going to, the camera crew, they're all going to be haunted and maybe killed by the butcher.
Not right away, though, right?
Not right away, though, because it wouldn't be like that apparent, but I think in the end that's what's going to happen. That the same thing that happened to Matt and Shelby is going to happen to them, just like it happened to everybody else.
I feel like that's totally possible right now.
Yeah, because it's definitely in the future. You know that, because Shelby says, and still to this day I have that dream. And she wouldn't say that if it just happened. Like, still to this day, like, because a couple of weeks ago this thing happened to me. Still to this day, to me, sounds like a year or more. So I think this is, like, flash forward to the next year's red moon, or, like, another future year's red moon.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when we left off, the lunar cycle was still happening. So either they're going to fast forward a whole year, like you said, or they're just going to like make it like continue from.
I don't think it would be in the same year though, because how would they find Matt and Shelby and Lee to interview like that quickly? Because I feel like they wouldn't like run to a production company like, hey, we have this great story for you. So I feel like it has to be like that. Yeah, so I feel like it's gotta be sometime in the future, and I'm still thinking maybe Matt and Shelby are dead. Maybe.
I mean, I don't have any theories on that, but that would be
maybe
super interesting if they were dead.
Yeah, like maybe like the whole production crew is like just either super interested in the paranormal, or like one of their families has been impacted by it, or they just caught wind of this story.
Right.
And I feel like maybe they found a medium to interview Matt and Shelby, because if they started interviewing them during the lunar cycle, they could show themselves, and it could be, you know, the bridge in between the two worlds or whatever. I feel like this could be like, I don't know.
That's possible. So I
feel like that's kind of like pushing it, but I definitely think something's still going on with Matt and Shelby. I definitely don't think it's what we think it is still.
No, it's definitely not going to be what we think it is. I mean, Ryan Murphy has said that on several occasions. So I'm still holding out for a Jessica Lange cameo, just because we're getting into this new story. So hopefully, maybe she'll answer our prayers, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will just have to see.
So a couple other notes that I have about future possibilities. I have here, Lady Gaga wasn't in this episode, but I looked on her IMDb credits. Now, she has various characters throughout this season that we haven't seen yet. Let me look at my... I took a screenshot of it. Let me look. Alright, so the Countess was last season. We have Witch of the Wood, followed by Elizabeth, and then Mrs. Johnson. So I guess she's supposed to play two other characters in this season that we just haven't seen yet. So I think that's really interesting, because that really wasn't like announced yet, but it's on her credit. So like we dig deep for this show. And then another Lady Gaga confirmation though that we got was she is the first Supreme ever, the first Supreme Witch. Ryan Murphy has recently confirmed that. So he said that is one of the many Coven connections, and then he also said in season 7, like, they're gonna relate that back to a lot of Coven. So Lady Gaga is the first Supreme to ever live, which I think is, which I didn't really think about that, but like we have said that she has a possible Coven connection before this, so we were on the right track somewhere.
On the Lady Gaga train, where the heck was she this episode?
I guess they just didn't need her, or she had like.
She was just PO'd that she couldn't get any from Matt last episode. That she was like.
I guess so. I mean.
I'm just gonna let them have it out.
Maybe she had like a scheduling conflict. Who knows? But maybe they didn't need her in this episode. I mean, I feel like it worked well without her.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was missing anything, but after the fact, when I was like trying to evaluate like how I felt about it, I was like thinking about all the characters, and I was like, wait, she wasn't there.
She was not.
Like, she wasn't.
Yeah, so that's the latest news on Lady Gaga. So, in other news, on Thaisa Farmiga, which I did not think was going to happen, she's returning this season, and her character apparently is related to the Mott family.
More relation to the Mott family
she's going to be related to Evan Peters' character and Fit Whitrock's from Freak Show.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that she's returning. And Ryan Murphy said that it was all about finding the right character for her to play. So that's why she hasn't been in Freak Show or Hotel.
I agree. I mean, they shouldn't just fit somebody else in just to do it.
No,
because nothing's done half-assed in American Horror Story.
Definitely not. Like I liked her as Violet. I didn't mind her as Zoe. So like sometimes I like her and sometimes I don't. But I think she'll be a good fit for this season because we still have no idea where the story is going. So she can be anybody. So she's maybe a present day Mott family member.
I'm excited to see.
We're just gonna find out hopefully soon, and then Matt Bomer is returning too.
Love him.
At some point this season, but nothing is known about his character at this time. So
I like it that way.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I do, but sometimes I'm just like, I want to know what's happening with all of these actors and actresses, and I just have to know what's going to be going on, as most people would probably try to figure out as well. So for chapter 5, that's all my notes that I have. And then you're good on your end, Steph?
Yeah, I'm definitely good.
All right, so we will bring more horror story to the podcast with chapter 6.
So excited.
So guys, that's all that we have for this episode of the Afterwatch Party. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you all so much.
And remember, the Afterwatch Party never sleeps.
Don't forget to check out our website at theafterwatchparty.com to see what we put inside your goodie bags this week.
See you at the next Afterwatch Party.